That should be
All right,
what's the
we
name?
are live. This is DPS damage per second, episode number 48. And me and the homie Gamer Forte are back once again on another Thursday night. Hope you guys are having a great night. I've been having a pretty good day, if I do say so myself. I don't know about Forte. We'll find out in a minute. I want to shout out some people in the chat real quick, though. Shout out to After His Passion, who was here first. He said, "Sup, fellas? I see that Slow-Mo couldn't back out of this one. I don't know what he's talking about, but I wasn't backing out of this episode." Stardust is in the house. He says, "What's up to us? What's going on?" Mixie dies a lot. What's up, Mixie? Spider13 says, "What's up, fam?" And we got Franco Tech is in the house, and King Ragnar. He said, "Forte too busy napping. That's why we were late."
No, I was too busy taking
hey, look, we don't need to hear anything about your bowel movement, sir. We can just keep it moving. But outside of your toilet habits, how you been, sir? How you been today, man?
I've been good, man. It was a good day. You know, today was the first day back to work after 2 days off, which was much needed rest. And yeah, just got some stuff done on that, having some fun around with customers and stuff at the store. Everybody called me about these Halo controllers and these Halo systems, and I'm like, no, son, they online only. But yeah, it's been a good day, man. I cannot complain about how this week has been so far.
Cool. Like, what games you were playing?
Well, new season for Destiny came out, so been playing that.
Mm-hmm.
Also been playing some NBA. I did jump in. I've been playing some more Hades.
Okay. Have you? Because I got Hades actually showing right now. Have you been able to clear a run yet?
Hell no.
Really?
Haven't put that much time in to
clear a run yet. How far have you gotten?
You ready to laugh at me?
Oh, please don't tell me you can't beat Meg.
No. I beat no. Okay. No, that's the no.
That's the first Fury.
What's the one that you say is like the easiest one that you slap around, but it pissed you off the first time you did it?
Oh, Bone Serpent.
Yep.
You can't beat Bone Serpent, really?
No. I just beat Bone Serpent. That's
okay. So like, if you're looking at the screen, Scream. Good grief, that's it. Scream and then Scream. The next area you're gonna go to is Elysium, and Elysium has it's two bosses there, and there's like a little bit of mid bosses. A Minotaur that you sometimes will fight solo, like in the middle of the in the middle of the run, and then at the end you have to fight that Minotaur and Theseus, I think his name is, this real arrogant hero who's a big deal at one point.
His name is his name sounds like he's arrogant.
Yeah, he is. He's super arrogant. Even after you whoop him like 3 or 4 times, he's still really confident. Every time you see him, like everyone else, like they
that was luck.
I mean, like I love Hades. I absolutely love it. And it's like what I love about it is that even though it's like you are doing some of the same content over and over again, the dialogue changes. And if you lose to a particular boss, they'll let you know next time they see you, or you want more of this? Or if you beat a boss or you've been beating them, you'll see that Zachary's look, his name began with a Z. We won't call him Z. That's the main character. He's the son of Hades. You'll see him like talk a little trash. You'll see them like, here we go again. Like you can tell they don't really feel like dying right now, but they got, they gotta do what they gotta do. Hades has given them the task to keep you from getting out of hell. So it's pretty cool. I'm really enjoying the game. The gameplay I got showing.
How long does the run take for you? Your first run that you beat it?
Surprisingly, my first run beating it was my fastest run. I've beat it. I've completed 4 runs so far, and my goal is to complete a run with all weapons. And then if I haven't hit, well, there's only 6 weapons. So once I do that, my last 4 runs, because apparently like it's like to fully beat the game, I guess, to get like all of the story beats out and to really like know what's really going on, because there's still like mysteries going on about certain things that's happening. Hades got a lot of secrets, and you have to beat it like 10 times to really get it all. And so I got 4 down. I got 6 more to go. I need to. This run was my first completed run with the gloves, and I just got the perfect boons to help out. And I knew I was going. I started recording as I was in Elysium because I knew I'm gonna complete this run. I had lost the Hades twice already, and he's at the end. And I just knew. I was like, I'm gonna whoop his behind this time. I knew it. I just knew it. And so like I went and started recording because I knew I was just bodying everything. But I beat it first with the gloves, then I beat it with the bow, which for those who've been watching my streams of this, and shout out to all of y'all, they know I don't really care for the bow. But something that I will give you as a good tip for the game: if you see the hammer icon for a room or something above anything else, go for that hammer. That hammer will modify your weapon to kind of take away weaknesses, because each weapon has like a weakness. So the reason why I can't stand the bow is that I can't just use the regular attack the way I can use everyone else's. I actually have to like draw it and then let go, draw and then let go. And so I got a mod on my run with the bow where I didn't have to do that. I could just hold down X or whatever the button is for you where attack is, and I'm just firing. And I kept getting all these great boons. I got Doom. I had the Ares boon for Doom on my attack. I had I got another hammer to modify my special so that I was like getting a bigger radius for the special where you shoot the arrows everywhere. So like that was great. That was my second run. My third run, I beat it with the sword, surprisingly. Most people think the sword is the worst weapon in the game. And my last run that I did last night, I beat it with the shield. So I need to do it with the gun, which I can't stand. And I need to find like some mods to modify that thing because I can't stand that gun. And I need to do it with the actual weapon I like the most, which is the spear. So I love the spear. So once I do that,
you always like to leave the funnest gameplay for the last.
Yeah. Even though I haven't intended on not completing it with the spear yet, it's just been kind of how things have turned out. But I think you could make every run a good run if you just like learn what is better than other things. And just I have like a hierarchy of what if I'm going into a room and there's like a choice of things, or if there's a choice of boons, that I know which ones to choose the best for me. I'm not saying it's like the best for everyone, but for me and how I play it, and it just works the best. So, but like, yeah, I'm if people haven't been able to tell yet because I've been, waxing poetic about it, I freaking love Hades. It's probably my number one game this year at this point. It's got above Scarlet Nexus now.
So how many rogues have you played? I know you played this. You played some of Returnal. Have you played any other ones?
No. This is actually
this is like your official foray into the roguelike series.
Yes, and I'm actually now kind of like, all right, I've been kind of missing out on this whole genre, and I think I might
thinking about going to play stuff like Dead Cells and stuff now.
Yeah, I might actually give Dead Cells a shot. I might give some other roguelikes a shot. People in the chat, throw some comments of good roguelike games in the chat. I might give them a shot. I might actually stream them. You never know. So but I'm definitely more interested in them now. Returnal wasn't bad. It just I absolutely hate having wasted time because my time is limited. And so when I got that crash, like I was glad it was very early on with it because I wasn't even out of the first area and I got a crash. When I got that crash, but I was like, I had been like farming and clearing the entire first area for like 45 minutes to an hour. And then I got the crash and I was like, I did all that for nothing. I was like, oh heck no.
If,
I'm not
if I
going back to
gave
this
you,
until they fix it. But it's I haven't gotten back to it, even though I heard it's better now. But then I also kind of heard people still having some issues with it. I don't know, but like I'll get back to Returnal eventually. But no, but I even if and I'm not saying Hades is better than Returnal. Just for me, I prefer it better. I like the story of this game better. I like the combat better. The characters, it's so many characters in like, you know, Greek gods and mystery that's going on, subplots and stuff like that. I didn't see any of that stuff in Returnal. Of course, pretty early on in it, so why would I see any of that stuff? But it's just Hades is just freaking awesome. Like I really enjoy it.
if I was to give you a couple, Dead Cells is definitely up there.
Okay.
If you never, it's Slay the Spire. I literally
I
watched
heard
my
about-
brother play. Dude,
I heard about
it's
that one.
it's on mobile and on PC on Steam. It's like one of the best roguelikes you will play. I wasn't super into him, and just watching him play, I was like, yo, this is crazy how cool it is. So that's another really good one. Spelunky 2, that's another really good one.
Okay.
And if you haven't played any of the well, you haven't played Binding of Isaac, those are really good too.
Yeah,
That's really
Binding
good too.
of Isaac.
Yeah, that's really good
I've
too.
heard about that game, but I didn't think that was a roguelike. I thought that was something else, but I never.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the name. I think the name actually reminds me of something else.
Yeah, and if you do play that, get the Rebirth edition of it that gives you all the DLC and everything.
All right. I'm writing these down because I'm definitely about like later on. I'll look up the gameplay and see if it's something
Yeah,
I want to jump in.
I say, dang, I said, I think this is his first real roguelike game, and the way he playing it, I think he finally like, man, I've been missing out.
Yo, definitely been missing out, man. Like your Hades is fire. I really like it. But since we've been waxing poetic about Hades, let me talk about some other stuff I've been playing. I did play Psychonauts 2 for about 3.5 hours. We can get into later because that's one of our topics about my impressions on that. I've been playing a little bit of Rogue Company, a little bit of Splitgate. Splitgate's new season has started, season 0. Which is pretty cool. They got a new map. They gave the game a little bit of a facelift. It's looking nice. I got my first Elite controller. I got a Xbox Elite 2 controller. But I was talking to you about like some things about like, yo, what are these hair trigger things for? Like, what is that? Yo, so like after I talked to you and you, yes. So after you explained it to me, I jumped into Rogue Company and then I dropped it. Like I'm just like kind of just lightly pressing it to see where it finally fires, and I saw it was like a light tap fire. So I was like, bet. I actually pulled it like all the way down to the lowest setting, and I see what you mean when you talk about
you get a lot more shots out.
It's like the milliseconds. You're actually firing a little bit quicker.
No wasted motion. That's basically
exactly
what you're getting.
Yeah, and it really worked out. I'm still kind of playing around with the profiles, and I made some changes. I put with Splitgate, I put the portals that you open on the paddles, and it's a little bit of adjustment doing it, you know, like actually using my my ring fingers to click the paddles.
Using the paddles is an adjustment. It took me, I only use 2. I don't even use all 4.
Yeah, I can't see using all 4, but yeah.
Yeah. If you get used to all 4, I can see never going back to using anything but 4. But for me, it was like it took about a good 2 days of playing. Now it's like, dude, I'm telling you right now, if something ever happened to your Elite controller, you're gonna feel naked, bro. You're gonna feel like you can't even play games. You're gonna feel like you can't even control a character no more you'll be pushing buttons on the back of a regular controller that ain't even there. You just be so like to the point like right now, the only reason I have a standard controller is because it's the one that comes with my Xbox Series X. So if I ever trade it in, or if I use this one to trade in towards that Halo one, I don't want to have to trade in an Elite controller. I keep it just so I can have a controller to go back with the system when I get rid of it. Other than that, there's no reason for me to have a standard controller at all. because I can't play with a standard controller anymore. It's crazy. It has been like that for a couple of years now.
Now see, I don't want to go that far. I don't want to.
If you keep play, if you play with nothing but that controller, you will.
Well, look, okay, so like I've been playing Hades again with the Elite controller. I'm not using the back paddles at all. So like it's like I'm trying to make sure that when I do play, like it, I don't want to, because the thing has got like, you know, a high failure rate, right? And then like shout out to our homie Taz, said that like, you know, he got the warranty with Best Buy the way I did, but because of I guess like supply issues, he had to wait 3 months before he can get a replacement to his Elite controller. So I'm like, well, that's 3 months where he's probably had to either just deal with whatever was wrong with his controller or use a regular controller. And I never want to have like a crutch, you know? I never want to be like, oh man, like I really.
Well, you can go back to a regular. It's hyperbole that I'm speaking. I mean, it's not, you'll get used to it. It would just be weird as heck the first time you do it. So probably after a couple of hours playing with a regular controller, you'll be back to normal. It just takes a while. But like for me, like Hades, as soon as I picked that game up, I was like, okay, what buttons can I put on the back? I was like, oh, put the dash. The dash is on one of the paddles in the back because it frees up a face button for me. So I can always keep my finger on a thumbstick when it comes to like dashing around the environments and stuff. So that's like, and I think that's the only button I use in Hades on the back. Everything else is basically front buttons and stuff.
Yeah. I don't see, like, I mean, I get what you're saying. I just like when I started playing, I was just like, I don't know what I would want to put on the back button. So I'm just gonna not. Plus, you only get like 3 profiles, so I was like, I'm not trying to like, you know, use them all up. I'm pretty sure you probably could just replace a profile when you were done playing with a game.
You can save as many profiles as you want because when you go into the
it's loading them. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, so you can save a profile, but then you can only load 3 at a time.
You can only load 3. Like I have like 17. Like I'm looking like right now I got 18 profiles. And I only got Destiny and Apex Legends and Hades right now going.
Cool.
And Apex Legends, I don't even remember the last time I played that game. I just keep it up there.
Yeah, so that's what I've been playing for the most part. I feel like I've been playing something else, as you know. I play so many different games all the time.
I mean, you're a gamer, man. Nobody can say you ain't a gamer.
Yeah. Big facts. You know, I don't want to brag on myself, but it is what it is. But
I'll brag for you.
I appreciate you, man. Did we talk about 12 minutes last week?
Yes, we talked about, because you were talking about how the story. Well, you didn't really get into any spoiler tip because you had just started playing it.
Okay, I
you were
finished
talking about how the police was getting on.
Yo, the freaking cop. Look, maybe it's my fault for trying to break the game. Like I was thinking of things that like the developers hadn't thought of. And it was just like, nope, can't do that. Cop's gonna get you anyway. And it's just like, bruh, but you're tied up, man. Like you telling me this dude can't beat this cop with his hands tied behind his back? That's a literal joke. Like I could beat you with my hands tied behind my back. He's not kidding. He can. It's crazy. Like I was just like, yo, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. But that ended. I don't know if you have played through it and finished it or not. If you plan on doing so, it varies. For some people, they were able to like really get through it in 3 hours, and that's like on the low end. It took me about 5 hours to beat it. There are other people I've seen on Twitter complaining, saying they've been playing for 10 hours and they just don't know what to do. And that's gotta be frustrating. That's gotta be really like, you know, I'm done with this. And I've heard so many people talk about how they don't think that the puzzles really make sense, and that the developers are really forcing you to go down certain paths that to them aren't like very natural thought processes to go through. I can see that, but for me, there were certain parts, like for example, you know, this is like a minor spoiler. Your wife, when you walk in the house, every time the loop starts, she's singing in the bathroom. She doesn't know that you walked in. You could hide in the closet and let things play out, and she never know that you were there. You can do all kinds of little different things that are different, and it's good for you to do those things because it helps you learn information that you can use later on. Because even if someone told you like the story, it doesn't matter. Your character doesn't know the information that you know, so therefore you have to discover it within the game in order to use that information, you know what I mean, in order to continue to plot on. But I know a lot of people have got to the end and just been like, no. Like, look, it gets into some themes that people just they don't care. It's a video game. They don't care. It's just a fictional story. You don't play around with that. And it's just like, I did not expect it to go there. Like me, I streamed my entire playthrough of that game. Me in the chat was just sitting there like I think there's like a good 5 seconds of silence for me because I'm just looking at the screen like, wait, what? Just like, are you serious? It's like, this cannot be what this has really been about the whole time. I did get the secret ending. There's like 3 endings, but
nice.
I actually went back on PC to get the other ending. So
true gamer at heart, man.
Yeah, I just figured might as well go ahead. Now that I knew exactly what to do, I did it in like 2.5 hours, I think. I just went because I knew exactly what to do at each step. It was fresh in my head, and I just installed the PC version and just ran through it all. But then, at the end, I made a different choice to see what would happen. So
yeah. I remember playing games like that. Like a game that was probably like 12, 13 hours to beat. But then once you beat it and knew how the level worked and how everything went, you could actually beat it in like 5 or 6. And you would just kind of speed run the game to get like all the missing items or achievements and stuff. I kind of missed that part of me when I used to do that. That's when I used to play like way more games and stuff. But I admire you. I always tell you, I admire the fact that you play as many games as you play because you really don't get stuck on. I mean, you do get stuck on some games, but you know how to kind of balance it with the other games that you like to play. So I always give you a hat tip for that one. But Foxy, shout out to you. Thanks, Lady Foxfire is in the building. Shout out to her. Though I want to shout out. The reason I really want to shout her out
in the presence of a podcasting legend out here. All right.
Right. Let me tell you something. We got to call her out because, she put up a very, very great tweet yesterday when she was like, my hashtag Gamescom 2021 scores. She was like, Destiny stream 9.10.
That's the only reason why you bringing this up.
Xbox Showcase 6.10 and Jeff Keighley show 7 out of 10. And guess what? The only reason Jeff Keighley show got a 7 out of 10 is because they showed off the console and the freaking controller on that show. If that wasn't there, it would have been probably just as bad as Xbox's show. But shout out to her for recognizing that Bungie, the true pioneers of Halo, put on a
we don't need to talk
show.
about this. That's a topic later on. You can double hand fist Bungie and doing the second topic. Okay, that's not it right now.
Shout out to Lady Foxfire for being in the building, and shout out to everybody else being in the chat, man. We truly appreciate you guys. You always show the support, and we don't know what we would do without you guys.
Absolutely. Well, look, we talked about what we've been playing and what's been going on. Let's get into the topic. So first topic up is, I don't know how many people are aware of this. A shout out to Cali Rex on Twitter, who actually brought this to my attention, and something that I was a bit concerned about when the news came out about this acquisition back in, was this earlier this year or maybe late last year, but I made a video about it, was kind of hoping that. So essentially this is about Warframe. And so Warframe is kind of in a little bit of trouble now. Now, you guys may recall that there was some rumors that Sony might potentially acquire Leyou Technologies. Leyou Technologies is a Chinese firm. They actually own a lot of different companies in different industries, like companies that make like food, like kitchen appliances, like all kinds of stuff, not just video games, but Leyou's technology spent 120 million to acquire digital streams, and they also had ownership of Splash Damage, which is the same developer that did, I think they did Gears Tactics, if I recall correctly, and they also own Certain Affinity, and that's going to be really important when I discuss that. So this whole entire article, I'm actually going to switch to it. So this whole entire article comes from South China Morning Post, and so they're talking now about why Tencent spent 1.3 billion to buy the gaming firm Leyou, and then but left it to languish. And what ended up happening, if you guys don't remember, is that Sony and a couple of other interested parties were interested in getting Leyou. Sony definitely wanted to get their hands on Splash Damage and their hands on digital streams and Warframe. And so many people were excited, but the prospect of Sony, who's really good at nurturing IP and supporting developers in their games, getting digital streams, because digital streams has been really struggling to keep their game afloat and to get content out on a consistent period of time. You'll see digital streams show you at like a TennoCon a exciting new expansion they're going to do and say it's coming out later this year, and then don't show up for like a year or two later. That's because they're 300 developer studio, whereas if you look at other looter shooters like Bungie, they're over 700 developers. You look at Massive Entertainment that did The Division. Massive by itself is 750 developers, and they had 4 other studios under Ubisoft helping them make the games for The Division. That's how many people you need on staff in order to make a looter shooter and make it a good quality looter shooter. And Warframe's definitely a quality game, great gameplay. It's just that when you don't have those kind of resources, nor do you have that money because they're an independent developer, you just don't have the ability to keep up. And so what's been happening, and what it turns out, I'm going to find exactly where this article discusses it, but here it is. The deal, according to the people familiar, gave Tencent what it really wanted. Tencent came in later in the bidding war and outbid Sony and everyone else at 1.3 billion, which was kind of an overpay, but gave Tencent what it really wanted: the option to invest into and own Certain Affinity, an independent American video game developer based in Austin, Texas. In October 2017, Leyou reported that it acquired the 20% stake in Certain Affinity for 10 million. Certain Affinity has a proven track record developing innovative AAA console and personal computer action video games, including original titles and co-development on multiple games, Call of Duty, Halo franchises, as well as Doom and Left 4 Dead series. Let me go down to where they were talking about. So this is what's been happening ever since Leyou has been acquired. Plenty of, can I highlight this? Here we go. Plenty of employees have already left Leyou, including those at its offices in Beijing and Shanghai. According to the people with knowledge of the matter, they indicated that there was a team of about 200 employees who worked on the Civilization Online strategy game across multiple cities. That project and team involved in the development are all gone. So that's 200 people that just don't have jobs anymore. And they didn't elaborate on why. And there's a part here that really focuses on Warframe that I wanted to talk about right here. So while Leyou invested more than 120 million to acquire Warframe, developer Digital Streams, the game has become less profitable for the company since last year. And former Leyou employee said the company was well positioned to do well based on its IP and projects, but now has become nothing more than a satellite studio for Tencent. So, boy, Forte, what do you think about this, man? Forte? Did we lose Forte?
I muted myself. I didn't know I was still muted. You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. I'm man, kind of disappointing because I love digital streams. It was outside of Borderlands. It was the second game that got me into the looter shooter genre and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I put well over 1,500 hours in that game on PC, and if it wasn't for a game called Battlefield 4 that came out that kind of took me away and kind of like switched my focus, I don't know how much longer I would have played that game. And it's a vastly different game than it is today than it was in 2013. It's like you couldn't even fly in 2013.
It's like night and day. It's so different. Yeah.
Like I remember just wanting to get a GTX Nvidia 790.
Real quick, what's up, Big Cloud in the chat? Big Cloud, Ryan Landis. What's up, guys? Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I remember on PC wanting to get a 780 just so I can get the particle textures because it was Nvidia. It was Nvidia PhysX and stuff. So the game looked phenomenal and stuff. Like, yo, this looks crazy. But then they updated the game in season 15, and oh boy, it went to a whole nother level. And the thing that's real interesting to me is they did a lot of this stuff without Tencent. Mm-hmm. Like this game got an overhaul before Tencent even bought them.
Yeah.
So it really speaks to the fact that I don't know what happened. I'm still trying to figure out. They put a lot of money into it.
I'll tell you what the issue is. I'll tell you what the issue is. And because this is something that they have tried to rectify this issue, but I don't think it's really possible for them to do so, because in order for them to rectify it, they would have to be already more successful with more money to acquire more developers to actually deal with the issue. So here's the problem. And this was a problem like 3 years ago. Everyone would tell them, when I first started playing Warframe, I tried it out when you did, and I didn't like it. I didn't like what they had at that time, and so I didn't play it. I dropped it real quickly.
I know, you didn't play it.
Years later, one of my best friends was like, we were all playing Destiny, actually, playing Destiny 1, and one of my best friends is like, man, I'm on that Warframe. And we was like, what is... We playing Warframe? Are you serious? And so he was like, no, seriously, man, it's different now. Try it. And so I went back and I tried it. And yeah, they had really revamped it. It's different. But here's the problem. Then I didn't know what to do. The new player experience, the onboarding, the prologue stuff.
Still terrible.
It's better now. But it's still
It's still terrible.
No. See, like you have to try. Maybe jump on it.
No. They have a starting. They have a starting area now where you can.
Well, they've been had that. They've been had that starting area. Like I went through that starting area probably like back in 2016.
Yeah, 2016 is when they changed it over with the whole showing you all the ability. Because when it first, back in 2013, oh boy, you was just waking up and you were playing the game.
Well, look, now they actually have like this opening cinematic that really introduces you to the Warframes. That's like amazingly well done. It's a actual Hollywood director plays the game and did it for free. This is the only reason they have it is because somebody actually, who's talented enough to do something like that.
Loved the game and talented enough did it for free.
Did it for free because otherwise they probably wouldn't have been able to afford something like that. So they have that starting out, right? That's the starting thing, and then they have a very cinematic approach to the beginning, explaining what's happening and everything, but not too much because it's a big mystery of who you are and what's really going on. Of course, that's supposed to evolve and open up as time goes on. Regardless of that. Now it's like they just kind of pushed the confusion along a little bit. Instead of being confused immediately, you're confused like 3 hours later. And that's the problem, is that there's so much going on in Warframe. And it's similar to what when we did the live stream the other day, and that guy Smitty was like he wants to get back into Destiny. I said I was joking around about saying don't do it, but it is true that you need someone to help you along because you could not play the game. Like even though I've got a gazillion hours in Destiny, if I went back and played Destiny right now, I would be lost. I would have no idea what to do. take that feeling and multiply it by 3 with Warframe, because there's so little explanation of what to do and what's going on, and that's their real problem. You literally have to go to a YouTube channel, find a Warframe YouTuber, and go through their beginner's guide series to get there. That's what I had to do. And then once I got that down, but once I got that down, I was like, this game is amazing. And I was stuck on it for like a whole year of just going through all the quests. Did the Second Dream. Second Dream's one of the best quests I've ever played. It's just it's a great game, but new players, the problem is that games lose players and then gain players all the time, especially ongoing games. The problem Warframe has is that they're losing veteran players because they take too long to come out with content, but they're not gaining the new players to replace them because the new players are quitting before they get to the good stuff. Yeah, and then also they got the people who are like, it's too easy. They say it's too easy because they like. You look at my Warframe right now, and I'm murdering everything. But it takes a while to get your Warframe to this point. It's a long time. You can't
Plus, you ain't playing in those in certain areas. Like there's certain areas you go into those areas, even with a maxed out Warframe.
Yeah,
it gets pretty insane. Especially, I always tell people with Warframe, the defense missions are where you're gonna get the most difficulty after you scale up so far. Like once you get to like above 30 or 40 waves of it.
I think it's survival now. Look,
it's called survival now. It's called survival now.
Well, no, there's two of them. There's still the defense missions.
Oh, they still do defense missions?
Yeah. But the survival mode, this is what I'm doing right now. Basically, you're just kind of just surviving, and you gotta keep finding life support to give you oxygen because the enemy is like trying to cut the oxygen.
They're cutting, and people got to go to different parts of the arena that could be on opposite sides of the arena to actually find the life support. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, so like, this is the kind of stuff that people do now to find some difficulty, because as the longer you stay there, the higher the level enemies. Yeah, and so like they start one-shotting you at some point, and I think at some point, 2 of the people that were rolling with us dropped out, and then it was just me and another guy, and you probably see it in a little bit. Like I was basically like trying to pick him up, he starts trying to pick me up, and then we just got out of there because we just like we can't handle just the 2 of us, these enemies at this point. So that's the only time like it's really like difficult. Otherwise, it's just like you find Warframes, they all are unique and different, and you build them up and you mod them however you want to mod them, and then you go in and you just blow crap up with them, and then go, all right, well, what's the next Warframe? That's the loop and gameplay loop right now while you're waiting for actual expansions to come out and drop. And it's unfortunate that's the way it is, but I really kind of feel like at this point they're at a crossroads with this game, and I'm gonna propose this to you and see what you think. I can see it would be really unfortunate because this game has been going on for so long, but I can see Warframe and digital streams being shut down if they don't start to turn it around on the financial level. The game's quality, but if it's not making money, they're either going to have to start like being not so consumer friendly with the trade system, and how they got all the expansions are free. It's a completely free to play game. Everything you could get, anything and everything you want in this game for free if you're willing to just grind stuff out and trade for it and not spend actual money. Like they may need to actually be a little bit more frugal in some of this stuff in order to make some money.
There's people that make more money. They make more money in Warframe than probably an actual job.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because they just go into the void and they get all those equipment and all those parts.
And then they go into Warframe market, and then they trade the people for platinum, which is in-game currency.
Yeah, I done seen people with over 100,000 platinum. I'm like, yo.
Yeah, I've never had that.
And that's the thing, though. Once you get to that level of it, those people, the people that would spend the platinum are the people that are going out doing all the farming. they're just sitting, and they'll just buy whatever new is coming out. But you got most people, they're just going out saying, okay, instead of like the people are buying the platinum, but the platinum isn't going back to digital stream, it's going to somebody else.
Yeah,
and they're just sitting on
exactly, and they're not making any money off it, and that's just like it's a grand idea, and I wish more companies would adopt their method of supporting their game and not trying to price gouge. They literally don't want whales. They try their best not to develop whales.
Not to, yeah.
And but the way this game has turned out and the way they've had to turn to Chinese investors and end up losing the ownership of their company, and now like their future's in jeopardy because they're not really in control of their own destiny anymore. And I think that I think that if you asked like other companies out there about their actual game business model, they would say, see, this is why you don't do that. Because you end up like Digital Extreme, where you got a game that's awesome, and you have been very fair to your community of players and how you monetized it, but you're poor. So yeah, you are, and your game's not profitable, but everything's free. It's just like, but at some point, you gotta make some money, man. You gotta expand. You gotta make money so you can grow the team and to make the content that you want to make and get it out in a reasonable time period. And they haven't done that. And so here we are. So like I kind of feel like give it a year or two. If nothing changes, if the stuff they showed at TennoCon doesn't blow people away and like completely reverse the direction of the game right now, I can really see them not being around anymore. What do you think? You hear me?
No, you broke up a little bit. I can't hear you.
Okay. I said I could really see them in 2 years not being around anymore. What do you think about that?
That would be unfortunate, man. I mean, put it this way: there's no skin off of Tencent's back because they weren't the reason that. They were just part of an acquisition. They weren't the prize of the acquisition where they would feel like, okay, we need to find a way to make this work. I mean, at this point, they're kind of a casualty.
Yeah, but Tencent has the money to give them what they got. They invest more money into gaming than Sony does, and if Sony would have won them, it would be a completely different story.
It would. Well, I agree, but that's also the difference. Sony, this is a company that made that deal with PlayStation exclusive for the first year that it was out. Remember, it was only on PlayStation and PC.
Yeah.
So they actually saw a potential of the game at that moment. I just don't think Tencent ever saw the potential. It was basically just another branch on a bigger tree that they wanted to purchase. And like we talked about earlier we talked before the show, it's like that EA scenario with BioWare and stuff. It's like, yeah, you got all these other support studios to go along with it, but the main prize was BioWare, old fashioned BioWare. And
yeah, it
just ultimately comes down to, I feel for the people over there because I know they put a lot of hard work into it. I don't watch it as much as I used to, and maybe that's part of the problem because I'm one of those old longtime gamers that used to play over there, and it kind of I kind of fell out of love with it. And it's not even that I fell out, it's just more of, like you said,
you enjoy Destiny more, and frankly,
exactly,
there's only room in your life for one looter shooter. You can't successfully play all of them. Like, it's just impossible. And if honestly, if you want to play a lot of games, or if you're interested in a lot of games, you can't play one.
You can't even play one. No, you're right. You can't play one.
Much less two. It's just impossible. So yeah.
Well, the biggest thing about this game is like, I remember in like 2015 when they released the new player experience, and I jumped in and I played a lot of it, and it was just more of like if I take a break from Destiny, I know what I can do to get back into the game. It's kind of straightforward. It just takes a long time to do it. It's like I guys got to get friends together. It's like, hey, run me through this, run me through that. I know what I have to do. It's just you just got to get caught up. In Warframe, you don't even know what you need to do. It's like once you take a break from Warframe for like a year or 2 years, you completely are out of the loop. And it's not the standard type of game that you just say rinse and repeat this. No, there's systems in place where you have to do this in order to do this. If you want to build this, you got to go do this first, then you have to go do that. It's like it's so many different systems that kind of overlap with each other to get you to the same place. And I have this issue with Bungie when they do their games and stuff like that too. There's too much it's like they're literally sitting there like, okay, how can we make this even harder for somebody to understand? Instead of just saying, okay, we can have all these systems.
They're intentionally being complex for no reason.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, why is it so complex just to, like, perfect example, in Destiny, why do I have to go to the tower to pick up a bounty, and then I go do the bounty, and like say it's a 5-step bounty? Why do I gotta go to the tower? I gotta go to the tower, pick it up. That's fine. I go do the first part of it. Why is the second part go back to the tower to talk to this person?
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
To talk to this person just to say go to this other place. And then I'm sitting there like, why couldn't this just be something that shows up on my screen?
We're space knights with spaceships and crap. You telling me I can't? I gotta do a face-to-face conversation with a dude?
Do a face-to-face conversation with you.
That makes no sense.
And ultimately, does it only take like 1 to 2 minutes to do it? That's all it takes to load in and log in and go down to a planet and do it. But they do it all the time, and I'm like, that's what. Think of Warframe times 30. Because there's way more systems involved with Warframe. On top of if you want to do it for free, you waiting anywhere from 5 to 7 days for your Warframes to be ready. Right. You got to cook every component unless you got platinum to speed it up.
Yeah. And see, and that was their method of trying to monetize Warframe. Okay, you want to build a Warframe? First, you got to build the parts to your Warframe. That's 12 hours each. And then you got to put the parts together to build the Warframe, which is 3 hours. I mean, I'm sorry, 3 days. 3 days. So you want to wait a total of like nearly 4 days to to make your Warframe that you want to play? Or do you want to spend like, $30, $40 and play with that Warframe right now? They thought that was enough to entice people to just buy the Warframe, and some people do, but a lot of people be like, man, I'm about to build this thing. I'm not spending $40, but I haven't spent a dime in this game already, and it's just, it is what it is.
It's crazy. It's unfortunate, but you might be right. Hopefully it turns around for him because it's a great game. And even I can even say that being a person that hasn't played it consistently at all in the last few years. But when I did play it, it was magical, man. That's a fun game to play if you haven't played it.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely try it out. If anyone that's watching, our 40 people watching right now, shout out to all of y'all that's in the house right now. If you guys want to, give Warframe a shot, it's a very unique looter. Looks very different than anything else you'll see. I love the one that you're seeing now. Xcloud Umbra is my favorite Warframe because he's such a ninja. Like I just go with the swords with him. I'm all swords. Right, yeah, that tagline, right? But there's so many different Warframes too. Like there's this one, I can't remember the name of her, but like she releases spores into the air and she can like poison the other enemy. And if you do use her powers correctly, if you have the right mods on.
Saren.
Yeah, Saren. I have Saren Prime. And if you release the spores in the area and you use your powers in the correct order, you can basically poison an entire map. And so enemies are just dying all around you, and you don't even have to do anything. Like it's just that level of like build diversity that I love with looters, and this game has it in spades. But unfortunately, it may not be around for very too much longer. But since we're talking about looters, I guess this would be a good segue to get into good old Destiny. Destiny 2. Matter of fact, you know, you know way more about this than I did. Why don't you let everyone know what happened with Destiny this week?
Well, if you don't mind, I will.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Calm it down a little bit though. Just you know, calm it down a little bit.
Listen, man, Destiny is bae. It's bae. But no, new DLC, not new DLC, but new season started on Tuesday. Shout out to the homeboy Taz and the rest of the IOP crew putting in that work over the DLC over the last couple of days. But yeah, they released a new season. Season's going really, really good, called Season of the Lost, and we're starting to figure out how sus some of these characters in this game have truly been over the course of probably the last 2 years, because Bungie and they have actually started to put a story in this game, which is really incredible. They started putting a story.
There's a story now. Do tell.
Well, there's always been a story. The story just was not available in game, which is what was the problem.
Right.
Destiny has some of, and shout out to Luca for saying this. Destiny probably has some of the darkest lore in most games you will play, compared to like other games and stuff, especially when it comes to their certain factions and stuff like the Hive and stuff. It's really, really deep. The problem was unless you were reading, Grimoire cards in Destiny 1 and paying attention to like some of the content creators that were doing like lore studies and stuff, you really didn't know what was going on, and you were just playing the game because it was fun. And honestly, that's where probably 90% of the people sit. They play it because it's a really good game just to shoot aliens in. And the new DLC, this is the new season leads up to the next DLC, which is going to be Witch Queen, which you see on the screen. Bungie did their reveal stream for it, which is probably one of the best streams and info dumps I've ever seen for a game. Like, to the point where I always say Bungie knows how to galvanize their player base and get them to be excited when they probably shouldn't be. But listen, because me and
I'm holding my tongue. I'm holding my tongue.
Listen, me and Slomo,
I ain't gonna say a word.
No, you're good. Me and Slomo talk about this all the time. Slomo always says, you guys are drones and all this other stuff. Y'all need to play some other games. And I always tell him, I say, listen, man, Destiny is one of those games that you just can't explain. Shout out to Alex. He was trying to get me to explain it yesterday on Brap, and I was like, listen, I can't explain this to you. Destiny is just one of those games that every other game that tries to be like it, I'm not going to say they fail. It's not that they fail. They just don't live up to what Bungie created with Destiny, and they just need to stop trying to be that game. They just need to be something else. And this game just continues to keep going on. They announced another expansion that's going to be coming off after Lightfall, which is which is 2013's DLC, which is going to be called Perfect Shape, which is going to possibly be the finale for Destiny 2. But they did say stuff is coming on more in the future. But this is more of what we always thought was going to happen with this game. Like, finally, we got a villain that actually matters in the game in Savathun. A lot of people been looking at her gaze for like the last couple of years, and I think that's going to be the interesting thing. But this is the cool thing that I love the most. They know that they said, not only are we going to give you this new DLC, we're going to give you the Bungie 30th year anniversary, which has a bunch of stuff in it. From Myth, from Oni, Halo stuff's gonna be involved into that too. That's why I said during our stream, this is gonna come out in December when it comes to Halo, because I think a lot of the stuff that Bungie did when they did their streaming, they were basically celebrating their history of Halo. They had no reason to do that because Halo has nothing to do with Destiny. But they did it because I think it's going to be some type of partnership that's going to happen in the future that we'll talk about later when we get to the Xbox part of it. But they actually said, guess what? Not only are we going to give you all this stuff, but if you buy that DLC, Slow-Mo, you buy that, Witch Queen expansion with the 30th year anniversary stuff, we're going to give you the most iconic weapon in the game. The one that everybody used to say, if you ain't got it, you can't raid with us in Destiny 1. And they bringing Gjallarhorn back. And I was like, they would bring a big gun like that out to get people super excited. And people that don't even care about probably what's happening in Destiny right now will be back just because they hear that gun's coming back. But ultimately, the stream was phenomenal. I've never seen Luca. And Slow-Mo, we both know Luca. Luca doesn't really get too excited about anything. She's very reserved in her response when it comes to games. Listening to her talk about this and be excited during the stream was something that I didn't expect from her, and it probably was the thing that shocked me the most because she doesn't really get that excited about a game. But it truly just lets you know that, you know, people that love this game, it just resonates with them. And Bungie, let's be for real, they just know how to galvanize their player base. And I can't be mad at them about that. But ultimately, what's going to happen is we'll be complaining about something in 2 months after the DLC comes out. And hopefully Bungie just has more stuff for us to do after they announce all that stuff. But Slow-Mo, what did you think? I know you watched it. You heard all the noise that was happening around the game. And even though people say you're a Destiny hater, I know you just do it to be poking fun at us because you know we love it. And I know you actually think that they do. You think they done something that most games can't do, and that's sustain a player base.
Well,
and I know you admire that. So what do you think about everything?
One, I wanted to do the super chat Arodimus just had real quick. Arodimus with the $5 super chat says, "That's Cat Forte. Deep in Destiny was never said in the same sentence before."
Deep in Destiny, no, it wasn't. It's gonna be start said now though because of all the stuff they put out there.
I'm not coming back, man. I'm done with.
You probably ain't coming back. I don't think you're gonna come back.
What I might do every now and then is just like if y'all want to get together and just like play something, you know, they enabled cross play and cross save now. It's so much easier now to do that than it was before. Although I'm so far back on light level, I don't even know if that would even work for me. So
they boost you up to 1200.
Yeah, still probably not nowhere near enough, which is fine though, because I'm just look. I know I said I'm done with looter shooters, but when I say that, what I really mean is that I'm done playing looter shooters the way that developers want me to play, which is like, hey, here's a second job. We want to take all your free time. You know, we don't care you got kids and a wife and a job and other games you might want to play. No, or sleep. Forget all that. Play our game. And we design the game. We design the missions, the content to be consumed in a way where you can't complete it and then drop it, put the game down, and then go do something else. That's what I want to do. And so when while you say that, I want to give you a plus on that. I'm gonna give you a nice little olive branch on what you just said. They officially this season, and everybody in our clan, most of the people in our clan was pissed when they did it. They usually allow you to go through the quest, like like the main quest of the game. They usually let you finish it at your leisure, so you could blow through it in the first couple of weeks and be done with it. But they literally time gated all of like the step, like some of the steps. Like right now, the main step of the game is 53 steps in this mission. You can only get the step 6 right now, and it tells you on the thing. It says, "Come back at reset to finish the next part of the step." Absolutely.
And everybody was like, why are they doing this? But guess what? This season has to be an elongated season. This season goes all the way to February 22nd because they delayed Witch Queen into next year. So we're talking about a 6-week season, 6-month season. And that's why I think they did it. But what you just said, literally a lot of people are like, yo, we can't burn through the content like we used to. And they're basically saying we're going to time gate this as long as we can to keep people coming back to the game, which might be the best thing that they can do, but it isn't what most of the gamers that want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, you're saying it's the best thing they could do. That you're speaking from the perspective of what they want, but what they should be looking at is the perspective of what you want. And what I want is to actually be able to do the content and not be like, oh, I gotta come back once a week to do the next steps for this. I don't want to do that. Like I just want to get through it. I just want to, consume it all at once. So and not be like, okay, what were we doing 2 weeks ago? What did we do last week? Like I that's not how I want to consume content anymore. And I'm not just jumping on Bungie with that because they all do that. Like the Division did that.
They all do it.
They all do it. They all do that kind of time gating of content, making you do multiple steps to reach a goal, and a lot of it's a ton of busy work and not really necessary. I can't deal with it no more. I just I enjoy gaming far more now than I did when I was doing that. Like, and when I'm talking about like when I was doing it, I've been from the originator of looter shooters with Borderlands. I started playing Borderlands and I couldn't put it down. I played the first one and I got it on sale off of Humble, me and my friend, and we couldn't put it down. And we didn't put it down until Borderlands 2 came out. And when Borderlands 2 came out, it was a wrap. 2 years, nothing. That's all I played. I missed out on Red Dead 1. I missed out on so many different games that came out. I missed out initially on The Last of Us because I was playing Borderlands. And when I finally what finally got me off of Borderlands was Destiny. And what finally got me off of Destiny was The Division. You see the theme here? Nothing but looters. I would play some games every now and then. I would play some games sometimes, but not enough where it didn't hinder me completing things and doing things in these looter shooters. And I just couldn't do it no more, man. Just couldn't do it. It was becoming too much of a hassle and too much of a time sink. And I mean, like I beat 41 games last year. I'm up at 19 right now this year. I think 2 years ago I beat like around 30 something, or maybe 28, 29. Like I'm enjoying gaming way more now than I was when I was just playing one game primarily and then occasionally something else. But that's just me. I'm not telling other people how to game, but this just works for me. But I can't go back to these looters like that. I'll go back and try some things out. I have no problem. People won't call, oh, you're a casual looter guy now. Cool. Yeah, that's me. Casual looter guy. I'll come in, I'll shoot some faces for a little while, and I'm gonna be up out real fast. But yeah, before we move on, Forte, anything else that you wanted to say on this one? Forte. All right, we got no Forte.
Nope, I'm back. I don't know what my mic just cut out. What the heck? Oh, that's why my cable ain't plugged all the way in. I'm checking that. Okay, there.
That's all good, man. Anything else you want to say on this one?
Oh man, it's look. I love Bungie. I wish Bungie was making Halo, but it ain't gonna happen.
I actually don't wish Bungie was making Halo.
I do sometimes.
No. Here's why. Because Bungie didn't want to make Halo no more. And if you don't have the desire to make it, it's going to show in the work that you do. So I think it would never reach the same heights that they did with the previous.
I agree with that. I'm just saying I'm talking in the vein of if they wanted to make it, that's who I would want them to make it. But ultimately, I think this is the thing. I always felt like Destiny was the direct evolution to what Halo was, and I kind of think 343 is trying to keep Halo relevant by keeping it the same. I mean, they're changing some stuff, but I think some people just got to kind of realize that Halo was meant to be something a little bit more closer to what I'm not saying the whole looter shooter aspect and stuff of it, but probably some type of hybrid based of what Halo, what Destiny is, but more grounded in the Halo universe. Mm-hmm. I can see that being a direction it went in, because part of me thinks it really just comes back to a lot of people gave Destiny a try because of the pedigree of Halo. I did it. The only reason I bought Destiny day one is because Bungie's name was on it, and I love Halo. And I think that legacy is going to be the thing that's going to kind of shine through for them. And now that they have this franchise, which is, I mean, it's not as as popular as Halo will ever be, because Halo is a household name where people like, yo, it's a $5 billion franchise.
Right.
You know, Destiny still got a long way to go to even get close to that.
Yeah.
But they have found a way to carve out a identity for themselves that most studios don't get a chance to do, that are outside of that realm. You know, we could say, you know, studios like Guerrilla Games, they did it because they were able to make a shooter and give us something like Horizon. And, you know, we could say stuff like Last of Us. Even though Last of Us and Uncharted are kind of in the same vein, they're two different types of games, so their identity was able to flip.
Yeah. But I mean, but the core gameplay is still kind of the same, but they still have very different themes and very different
and Sucker Punch, same thing, and all these. And then we're talking about Sony Studios at this point because they do the best job at doing stuff like that. And then you add a Insomniac into that, and they're just masters of their own craft at this point because they can make pretty much anything you put in front of them. So I think I always felt like this was the biggest failure, I would say, in Xbox by letting Bungie leave, because Bungie would have stayed and still been a part of Xbox and Microsoft Studios. If
they should have just,
if they would have just let them make Halo, still create 343 and let 343 just be a separate studio outside of Halo.
You mean let them create Destiny and then have 343
create Halo.
But
Bungie do something else.
I think today's Xbox, this wouldn't even be an issue. They would have definitely.
This would have happened a long time ago.
This would have happened a long time if the current regime was in charge. Let me hit some of these super chats. We got After His Passion with the $10 super chat. He said, "Slow Mo, the former addict helping Forte, the current addict. Preach." Big facts there. Erodimus with the $5 super chat says, I used to think Bungie was great storytellers, but after playing through Destiny, their stories are awful. Interesting.
I don't know if they're awful. They're just not in the game. And if you take time, I'm trying to seriously tell you, if people don't like, Halo has really good story because the story's in the game, but Slow-Mo, you'll even admit this, the story that people don't even know about Halo is so vast.
It's a lot of lore. Yeah,
it's so much stuff about Halo that you guys, I'm not saying that you didn't read the books, but if you didn't read the books in Halo, there is so much story that you guys don't even have a clue in. And that's the problem that Destiny has. They started out with a lack of story based in the game, and now they're finally bringing it over. But once you give people a taste of what your game is about the first time and they don't like what they saw, you're hard pressed to bring them back. Even if they hear the story's good, it's always going to be this thing in their head like, well, yeah, I remember, the story might be better now, but the excuse then is going to be, but I got to get caught up. And then in their minds, they're like, I ain't got 40 hours in myself to get caught up, and they're just not going to do it. And that's kind of where Bungie sits right now with how how Destiny is being portrayed to a lot of people. But the people that play it all the time, they love it, and they'll continue to keep coming back until either Bungie blows it and something else happens.
Shout out to Gaming with Persona in the chat. What's up, bro?
What's up, Persona? Shout out to you, bro.
Also wanted to just before we switch over, just wanted to mention something that Elder Cat said in the chat that just really, I think, really kind of sums up how I feel. He says, agreed, Slow-Mo, up to 21 games beaten myself this year, and it's because I deleted all my Destiny characters.
God, you actually did that hurt?
Yo, I haven't deleted my characters. I haven't gone that far, bro. But I don't have the game installed on any of my platforms, so
that's legacy. I shout out to you if you actually did it. That would be the move you would have to make if you
to make sure you don't go back. Yeah,
to make sure because if I delete it, I'll tell you right now, if I deleted all my characters, and something happened to them, I'm not going back to Destiny. I would never play Destiny again, because just knowing that all that stuff and all that legacy and all that time is gone, I wouldn't play again at all.
Yeah. But moving on. Let's talk about Psychonauts 2, man. Do you play Psychonauts 2?
Yeah, I started a little bit of it. I think it's one of the best platformers. I think a lot of people are going to be sleeping on the platforming in the game, and the story's kind of quirky. It's really interesting. It's fun to play. I wasn't expecting anything really, because I didn't play the original Psychonauts. I
haven't played the first one either.
Yeah, it wasn't a game that was on my radar. I mean, Game Pass for the win, I guess. I mean, Game Pass is the reason I'm playing this game, and I wasn't even really thinking about playing it. But then when I started hearing like the reviews on it, and I was like, okay, me wanting to play more games and get more ingratiated with games, especially since I know you wanted to talk about it on the show. I said, let me go jump in and play a little bit of it. And I was pleasantly surprised. Like I said, the story is actually really cool. The character development is actually really good.
I love the humor. Humor's really good.
The humor's really good. And I just like the quirky atmosphere that they have built into the game. And I just think the platforming is really, really good for those parts of the game that have it.
Yeah, it's definitely very strong on the platforming. I streamed it for like 3.5 hours. I haven't played it since, but I'm definitely going to finish the game. I've gone as far as did the prologue parts, and I did like the first, what you would consider is like the first act of the game, where you kind of like, I beat the first boss in the game. So that would kind of explain where I'm at. If anyone has been playing the game, that's where I'm at this point. I like the story. The humor's great, and it's Double Fine, so you expect this kind of humor with them. Their games are really good at that. I know a lot of people gave the visuals a hard time. I've been playing it on PC, as you can see, and well over 100 frames per second.
It's in Game Pass PC too, right?
Yes, it is. It is in Game Pass PC.
Okay.
As well as it's also on Steam. And I think probably the more stable, even though this game is pretty stable already for once on Microsoft Store and PC. I think I've heard the Steam version has like no issues whatsoever, but I did see a little bit of hitching here and there on the Microsoft Store version. Regardless, it's been a lot of fun. I really like where it's going, and when I first started playing it, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot. I never really cared about Psychonauts like that. I had ample opportunity to play the first game multiple times, and the first game's in Game Pass, and I actually installed it at one point, and then just never played it. But I might go back and play the first one after I finish this one, just because how much I'm enjoying it. Let's see. I think the Metacritic is pretty high. I think it's got like on PCs like an 89 and
89 and 87 on Xbox.
Like an 87 on Xbox, and I think probably the lowest score is probably on PlayStation, but I'm not surprised by that. It's now Double Fine's now a first party studio for Xbox game studio, so I know there's some people that are a little upset about the lack of
the lack of updates.
There's no PlayStation 5 version, which you do get on PlayStation 5 if you're playing it. You're playing the backwards compatible PlayStation 4 version, but you do get 60 frames per second. So at least you get that, but you don't get any of the other additional like graphical features that may be present on Xbox Series X or like on PC. But I mean, that I expected that to happen, considering that when they were acquired, so this game initially was started as a Kickstarter, and part of the goals of the Kickstarter, if they met their goals, there would be a PlayStation version and an Xbox version, PC version. And so when they got acquired, PlayStation 4 was the goal, to have a PlayStation 4 version. Once they became acquired, all that's out the door. So for those who think that like there's a possibility that some of these developers that you see that were multi-platform developers that get acquired by Xbox, and they think that maybe like they'll still put their games on PlayStation because PlayStation has like more than double the install base. That's not going to happen. Game Pass is their platform. They want to make Game Pass attractive, and the better they can try to get all their games there, even to the point of not even doing a PS5 version, even though you already have a PlayStation 4 version, then that's what they're going to do. But what do you think about this game's potential as because there's some talk out there about this game being a Game of the Year contender?
Oh man, when I started seeing that, I was like, man, of all the games that Xbox has come out this year, which isn't many, but the ones that they do from their first party, this would have been the last one.
Right. Who would have thought, right?
I mean, we know Forza because Forza is going to be in its own category, and for some reason they don't like to put racing games and sports games up there for Game of the Year. Halo is like the longest shots because of the situation that the game is in, especially now that we know that parts of the game isn't even going to be available day one. And people are going to say, well, that stuff shouldn't matter. It shouldn't really hurt his Game of the Year. But ultimately, that's a package, and if the package isn't all there, that game is probably a good chance it's not going to win Game of the Year because people are going to be like it's an unfinished product. So when you look at them, Flight Sim has already been out. It's been out since last year on PC. So I don't think that can do anything. So it makes sense that this game would score the best of all of them. I mean, Forza is probably going to score higher because they've been scoring in the 90s ever since, I think, Forza Horizon 3. So I expect that to score higher than this. But I think this is the type of game that a lot of people that will resonate with more people when it comes to the type of gameplay that it is. And also, I still think a lot of people kind of look at this as more of a PlayStation game more than an Xbox game. So that type of scenario hasn't really hit in for people. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does hit Game of the Year. Will it win Game of the Year? It really just comes down to how people really truly felt about Ratchet and Clank. Like I see a lot of people talking about that, and that game is definitely a contender. But there's a whole bunch of other games that still need to come out, and how you feel about them could be anything. This might be a year that Call of Duty can win it, depending on, because the campaign looks really good this year, even though I don't care about World War II and all that other stuff, but the campaign looks really interesting, and Far Cry does look really interesting this year. It might have the same formula as before, but it ultimately comes down to the offerings that these other games are bringing. I don't think anything else that came out earlier this year can kind of stand on it. I would have said something like Zelda would have did it, but they didn't change enough in Skyward Sword to actually garner any type of praise like that. So if it's not a Pokemon game, it's going to be one of these other games. And Double Fine, I can see them garnering some support. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to win Game of the Year, though. But even if they're nominated, that's a win, because when's the last time Xbox had a game that was nominated for Game of the Year?
I can't remember.
Was Gears 5 or 4 wasn't, was it?
No, Gears wasn't.
Gears were.
I'll give you some reasons why it could, and then some reasons why it won't. Right. So, and we're talking about Jeff Keighley's video game awards, right? Because there are other video game awards that where Halo Infinite will actually be like a possibility, because they don't even like start their game awards until January. Like they really like make sure every game that came out in that year has the potential to be nominated. So Jeff Keighley's video game awards, they do their cutoff like somewhere like early to mid-November. So a little bit different. Now, what I think is the positives here. So this game is way more cinematic than I thought it would be. Like, they got cutscenes in the game that will go for like a little, like maybe like 2 or 3 minutes. And so it's got some features to it that the voters for video game awards really, really like. It has does some things that really resonate with reviewers. So kudos to them for actually implementing those kind of things and really like thinking those things through. That said, the way the game of the year always goes, and this is across the board, this always works. There's always one Nintendo game that gets nominated. Whether you feel like Nintendo should have got a nomination or not, there's always one.
It's always one.
There's always one indie. So there's always this one random indie that, if you don't really pay attention to indies, you have no idea what this game is. You never even heard of it before.
Right.
But there's always this one indie. The indie has no shot of winning. It's being a game of the year nominee is a winner in itself for that indie, because that studio gets that spotlight. They get that additional eyes on them. That really helps them out for when they're making their next project. But otherwise, you're not winning. So that's Celeste, and then that is also Hades last year. Hades, like we were gushing about how great the game is earlier. No shot of winning last year. Absolutely zero shot of winning last year. And if it came out this year, it would still have zero shot of winning because it's an indie. Now, I'm not sure if Psychonauts 2 really falls into that indie category, or whether they kind of feel like the voters would feel like it does, because if Double Fine was never acquired by Microsoft, and this was a fully funded, crowd-funded game from beginning to end, then yes, it would.
Right.
But Microsoft clearly put a lot of money into this. There was the whole talk from Tim Schafer about how they had to take the boss fights out of the game. And they had to do that because they just didn't have the funding to complete them the way they wanted to. And but after they got acquired by Microsoft, things changed. Now they were able to put those boss fights back in. They were able to do more voice acting and all kinds of stuff. So like, this game probably is more along the lines of the money that went into this game is probably higher on the being funded by Xbox Game Studio side than the crowdfunded side. So I don't really know if this would be even qualified as indie like that in their eyes, but it could with the way the game of the year awards normally go, the nominees normally go. There's always got to be a third person's perspective, narrative driven game that gets nominated. That's always a guarantee. And if you're even certain genres never get nominated. Like, you're never going to see a racer in. Forza Horizon 5 could blow Forza Horizon 4 away. It could be the greatest racer you ever seen in your life. It's not getting a nomination. Why? Because it's a racer. And that it's biased like that. And so all that said, I think there is a higher chance that whether you think this game is better or worse than Ratchet and Clank, that Ratchet and Clank is a slam dunk nomination.
Yeah, it's slam dunk.
It's getting nominated. Period. This game, not so much a guarantee. And so although I think it is worthy of being among in that conversation so far this year, I think when it comes to indie, Death's Door's got it locked up. Death's Door is definitely getting that indie nod. And then from there, whatever Nintendo comes up with, Ratchet and Clank, and then you can throw in maybe a couple of other third-party, game developer games out there that did really good so far this year, but they also got no shot either. So it is what it is. That's the game of the year, video game awards nominee thing. It follows that format every single time.
Right.
But about Psychonauts, are you gonna finish it?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to finish it. I'm actually enjoying it to the point where I want to finish this game, and it's only like 10 to 12 hours from what most people are telling me, so you can kind of finish it in like 2 to 3 sittings. And then there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to play because I go on vacation starting on next Thursday. So I go on vacation, so I'm going to definitely put some time into it and just get through a bunch of games probably during that week that I'm off.
Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to finish it. I might stream my entire playthrough of it. It depends. It just kind of depends on, because sometimes with like I can't stream all the time, and then there are times where it's just like, you know, it's super late. I'm not streaming at 1 a.m, but I'm playing the game, and I'm just like, sometimes like when you want to beat a game, you can't waste time, or you can't just not waste time. You can't wait to stream it to play it, because then it takes too long to finish it, and then you're behind with other games you want to play. So I might end up finishing it off stream, but we'll see what happens. But definitely a good game. Psychonauts 2 is worth a look if you haven't played it yet, or if you're on the fence. I definitely recommend you try it out. Let's move on to Halo Infinite. Here we go. Okay, so since last week, we have got a lot of Halo news. The first thing that popped up, literally hours after we finished our show, was, it was the morning, so whatever, right? That Halo Infinite's campaign co-op is delayed.
Yep.
The campaign co-op is delayed, and Forge is delayed. So campaign co-op, they're saying they're delaying to the second season, which would be sometime in like February-ish. And Forge is probably will be out in the summer. That's if they aren't delayed further from where they currently are right now. So let's tackle that first, because we kind of gotta go in sections with this, because man, it was so much going on with this with Halo and just everything this week. Forte, what do you think about that? What do you think about the campaign co-op being delayed?
All right, I'm gonna say, like I said in my tweet, I understand people's frustration about about the campaign being delayed. I also understand the people's frustration around people calling for a delay of this game. I just want you guys to kind of look at this scenario, and everybody here, and people that's going to listen to this later, it's not the fact that this game has parts of it that's not going to be there at launch. Now, should that be a thing? No. But ultimately, I don't have a problem with them delaying parts of the game. My problem is Microsoft and Xbox, or just probably Xbox, know what the situation around this game is. And my problem is, why give this game any type of release date until you knew it was going to be feature complete? Because ultimately, that's what the issue is here. Anybody will tell you, Bungie, anybody will tell you that Halo is the crown jewel for Xbox. And the reason everybody is super excited to play this game is because it's one of the games they grew up playing for the most part. And on top of that, they don't want to go another year without it. We were upset when it got delayed last year, but the biggest thing is a lot of people understood that. A lot of people understand that, the game wasn't in a good place and it kind of needed to be delayed. So we all rolled with that. But then Microsoft, I felt like, and Xbox gave us a disservice by telling us that the game was going to be, first mistake was they said earlier this year that it's coming out this holiday. The moment they said that was the moment I was like, I sure hope that game is ready to release at the end of the holiday, because they pretty much are setting themselves up for a rude awakening if something is not right about this game when they release it. And surely but surely, the closer we get to the release date, the more news starts coming out about stuff that's not going to be there. And it may be small stuff to you, or maybe small stuff to other people. But it's not about the small stuff. It's about the fact that this game should not have been announced with a release date until the game was feature complete. If they would have came out at Gamescom and said, hey, no release date back, when did they do it? I think they did it earlier this year. They did it during E3 or something. They said that it was coming this holiday. Mm-hmm. It was rumors already that it was coming during the holidays, but they didn't officially say it until at E3. If they would have just held off at E3 and just showed the trailer or show whatever the multiplayer stuff and just said, didn't put no date on it, people would have been like, okay, Halo still has no date. They may have sat there and thought about it like, oh man, that means Halo might still have a lot of issues going on. But you really can't theory craft on something when they basically told you the game was already delayed. So you already know the game is delayed. You're not really thinking about, oh, is it going to come out this holiday or something like that? You're going to let them make the decision on when that game comes and releases. But if they would have never gave us that release date, it just said it at Gamescom that, hey, guess what? We're doing all this Halo stuff. We're going to show you this brand new Elite controller, which looks fire. We're going to show you a brand new system, which looks fire. And guess what? We're going to finally tell you the release date of Halo Infinite. And it's going to be February of 2021 or March of 2020. I mean, not 2021, March of 2022. And you know what would have happened? They would have coincided with the fact that some of their stuff would have been ready. I don't think Forge is a big enough thing for people to be like really upset about. I think it's mostly the campaign stuff when it comes to co-op, because you got people out here saying co-op is integral to the campaign experience, which, yeah, in some cases it is. Most people can play the campaign by themselves and not have to play at all in co-op.
It's always been there.
But that's the thing. It's always been there. So it should be there at launch.
In some shape or form. You had split screen, couch, local co-op for the first game, second game, actually all the early games, and then once Xbox Live took off, you had online co-op available. And there's this narrative out there that the campaigns have always been just Chief and like the story is designed around Chief fighting solo, which is the majority of Halo campaigns, but that's not all of them. And it's like, don't ignore Halo 3 where the second player is the Arbiter.
Right.
Don't ignore Halo Guardians, where literally before every mission you can choose from within Blue Team and Fire Team Osiris who you want to play as. Like, there are cases already, as an example, in the most recent Halo game where it's not just Chief by himself. And yeah, maybe that game, that will be this kind of game where Chief would be mostly solo or all solo in the campaign. We don't know that 100% for certain. People are just assuming and insinuating so based off of the 10 minutes of footage that we saw last year, that for all we know could have been completely changed based off of the reaction of that footage.
They haven't done that before.
Exactly. So it's like, I don't understand the need to, for lack of a better term, damage control this. This is a developer who has in the past had a difficult time with launching Halo games. This is right. But every time in the past they've had, it's like Halo Guardians launched a complete too, if you want to think about it. But at least they had campaign co-op. Like that they had that at least. They are now, and they came out with a blog earlier today reiterating something they've already said, that they're in shutdown mode. And essentially what this means is, there's a different term for that. A lot of different studios have a different term for this, but the term I've heard for this is post-production process, which is, yes, you're no longer developing new things or trying to finish features that you've already started. You're just in bug fix mode. Everyone is now a QA tester. If you're an artist, if you're a programmer, if you work on sound, it doesn't matter. You're a QA. You're playing the game. You're playing the game, finding bugs, reporting bugs, getting them fixed. It is August, and that's all they're going to do from now to December to try to get this game as bug-free as possible. But now I do appreciate that, because I feel like that a lot of games don't do that. They come in hot, and they don't get enough time to do that, and you see it play out in how that game performs when it comes out. Hopefully that's not the case with 343 in Halo Infinite, but I'm concerned. You know, and this, for some reason, there's people out here that, like, you say you're concerned and they just throw up their arms like, everyone is just so. I'm like, look, I'm sorry. Look, I'm not gonna like close my eyes, put my fingers in my ears to pretend like what I'm seeing and hearing isn't what it is. And people need to stop viewing every single thing that happens with Halo Infinite in a vacuum and not acting like there isn't context and evidence to add all together to say something's not quite right here. Shout out to Enrique for the $5 super chat. He says Microsoft is charging $60 for what is essentially a DLC, campaign missing features, and multiplayer free. Steam has Halo Infinite campaign listed as a DL. What? Really?
They have it listed as what?
He says Steam has Halo Infinite campaign listed as a DLC.
Oh, really?
I guess listed as a DLC onto the multiplayer, which is free. Wow, I did not know that. That's interesting, Enrique. He said he's going to play the campaign as he has Game Pass, which a lot of people are going to do. So I mean, look. Let me ask you this question, Forte. Do you feel like the launch of this game is going to be a buggy mess? Is that the feeling that you get from it?
Actually, I don't think it's going to be a buggy mess. I think I think Joseph Staten is going to do his best to make sure. Now, do I think it's going to come out with some issues? Probably day one. Every game comes out with them to the point where there's something like some bug that's going to be a hindrance probably for the first 24 hours. Do I think they're going to have massive server issues? Do I think people are going to have problems with loading into saves and stuff? I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to release a polished product. Mm-hmm. I just don't think. I think that's part of the reason why a lot of this stuff did get delayed, so they can focus on fixing as many bugs. And I think you talked about this. You talked about this yesterday on Brap, so I want to give you credit for it. I think the fact that they moved a lot of this stuff out of the window for release is more due to the fact that they want to make sure they get as many of those bugs fixed before that December 8th deadline to give everybody an experience that's going to be kind of flawless, because the only thing that could really hinder this game further is them coming out and saying that, like they said, oh, we didn't want to bring you broken game modes into the game. Well, if you release a game that's buggy and broken, then you saying that you didn't want to release like add-ons to a game broken and stuff like that, that kind of falls on deaf ears at that point. So I think they want to make sure that this game is 100% functional when they release it. So I think the game's actually going to be pretty well optimized when it comes out. It's just going to be missing a lot of the features that people want day one, but that's why I think they made that decision to delay that stuff.
I think I'll go kind of in middle of the road with what you're saying. I think the game will be less buggy than some of the other 343 releases, but that isn't saying much. So it's like, it's going to be less buggy than, say, like Master Chief Collection or something, but not necessarily like people are going to have some issues. There are going to be some problems. And I mean, that honestly, that happens with a lot, almost all games anyway, almost all games. But I do think that what we're going to get eventually is a game that's probably a bit more polished than what we expected. Here's another question for you. Mm-hmm. Do you think we'll see the campaign before launch?
I have two thoughts on this. My initial thought was they need to show this campaign before launch. Actually, I have three thoughts on it. So initially, I was like, they need to show this because that was the thing that people were more kind of outraged about, the overall fidelity of the game, the look of the game. And I don't think they rectified that with anything that they showed up to this point. They showed us some good, nice little in-game assets when it comes to CG and stuff like that, which could be what the game looks like. But until we see it in the environment behind the shoulder with Chief looking through his helmet with his gun on the screen, people are going to kind of be skeptical about that. But then you said what you had said about the game being them just basically booting up the game and saying, yo, this is what the campaign looks like when you finally put the game in your system and you play for the first time. And there's some merit to that, because I do think they are a little gun shy right now.
Yeah.
They don't feel, I
think, or it could be, look, I mean, we don't know for certain, but it could be, hey, it's looking a little shaky. Like they think they can have it all together and stable before launch, but it's kind of like they haven't worked out all the kinks yet, and they don't want to put together something to show us and people pick it apart like they did last year. Oh, they're still popping. Look at that. Oh, the draw distance is still trash in this one little area right here. Oh, look, there's a graphical glitch here and there. They know Digital Foundry is going to pick through it with a fine tooth comb. And so, like, if you don't quite have everything where you want it to be at, like, that would make sense to me, that why they wouldn't show it at this time.
I think that's the main. I think that's one reason. I think the other reason, and
shout out to Randolph Thor in the chat. He said, "I already told you when we will see it." I was going to get to that, Rand.
That's what I was literally about to say. I said there's three things that kind of three minds to it, and I was going to say shout out to my homeboy Rand. I was talking to him earlier on the phone, and I was kicking on about this scenario, and I agree with him. I probably fall on this one more than anything. The fact that I believe they're going to show it off at the anniversary of Halo. They're going to do something on a day that Halo officially came out and, graced the world with its greatness and stuff back in 2001, which is going to be November 15th. They already have the system announced to come out that day. Shout out to the people that got their chance to pre-order one. Same thing with the Elite controller. That's coming out on that day. I think there's going to be some partnership stuff that's going to be talked about that day, because I think Bungie has some stuff that they're going to say on the day that Halo was released for the first time. So I think something around that's going to happen with Bungie and Destiny. And I also think they're going to show the campaign on that day. That's the day that they're officially... Now, how much of the campaign they're going to show is up in the air. But I think that's the day that everybody should kind of circle on their calendar. Because when he said that, it instantly clicked. And I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Because it gives them enough time to polish the game as much as they want. That gives them roughly about 3 months before they would have to do anything, or 2 months. And
but look, hold on. Is that really enough time though? I mentioned before I think the game is in the state that the game's going to be in. I think they're done. Like you said, they're not developing any other things for the single player. I think at this point it's just, let's make this thing look as great as we can make it look. Let's find the parts of the game that we want to, the part of the game of the campaign that will kind of stand out above a lot of things, where people are going to be like, yo, pulling heartstrings. I think that was the kind of thing they went with at E3 when they showed him floating through space and stuff with the Marines around him, and, saying screw these Covenants, pushing them off to the side. But every time he came across a dead body of a Marine, he kind of like this thing just overcame him with grief, because he understands that this is something that they've been fighting for a long time. I think they're going to try to find a scenario like that to kind of showcase inside the campaign. And I just don't know how long that's going to be. It could be 2 minutes worth. It could be 6 minutes worth. But ultimately, I want to hold hope to say that November 15th is when we'll officially see that campaign. If we don't see it then slow-mo, then I'm 100% with you, bro. They just gonna let us boot this game up, and we gonna see the campaign for the first time when we turn it on ourselves. I was mostly saying that in jest, because
seriously, I think that might happen if we don't see it at the anniversary day.
Look, when Rand All Insider speaks, I listen. So if Rand says to quote me, bookmark this tweet, screenshot this, we're going to see campaign on the anniversary, then I'm thinking, you know what, Rand probably knows what he's talking about. I think we'll probably see a little bit of the campaign at that point. But Yeah, I mean, when I said, I was like, man, like the next time y'all see the Halo campaign is gonna be after you finish installing it. I was joking because it sounded funny, and for the most part, I was just kind of joking. But man, it's hold on, let me, because it's, I think I got like a, there we go. I had the Switch footage. I. I think we probably will end up seeing some campaign before then, just because enough people are concerned about it, and they're not going to put a trailer together, but they may do something more along the lines of what they did last year, which is essentially just have a dude drop into the game and just start like play a portion of it to show you a little bit of the campaign, which as you know how I like things, I prefer that over you taking people off of things, especially off of QA testing, to try to make sure the game is as bug free as possible. I will much prefer you show me what the gameplay like than you try to give me a free camera floaty. You remember we were arguing about how they showed the multiplayer initially. I wanted to see like basically what we saw with it, what we got with the technical preview. I just want to see gameplay. I don't want to see the whole no scope. Then that he jumps down and he melees and he ninjas a dude. Then he jumps up. He's shooting a rocket at the sword. The sword flies in the air. He grab like all that stuff looks cool, but like, can I just see what the game like? I just want to look what the game look like when I'm playing it, like HUD and all the good stuff. I want to see what it look like, That's what I want to see, and I think they probably would do something like that because it'll be easier to do that than to put together something fancy, and and that's the case. Let's discuss the Xbox Gamescom event.
Oh Lord.
So shout out to everybody that came through when we live streamed that, and me and Forte and Enrique joined us eventually, sat through it, and man, I'm so glad I was able to watch it with you guys and have somebody to talk to, because otherwise I would have been bored to death. I probably would have passed out, fell asleep, and missed half of it. But Forte, was there anything in regards to the Xbox Gamescom show that you saw that you liked?
Forza and a controller.
Forza and a controller.
And a controller.
So
listen, bro. Let's be for real here. When they showed that controller slow-mo, we got hyped. Everybody in the chat was hyped. It was like a brand new game just got announced, bro. When I saw the controller, I was like, "Yo,
is beautiful." It's a beautiful controller, man.
I woke up. I was like, "Yo, this controller is fire." And I think E had the best analogy for it. It's like a controller that's sitting in milk with looks like fruity pebbles. And I was like, "Yup," and it looks great. That controller looked amazing, and it's unfortunate that was one of the best highlights of that freaking show, bro.
Right. When you look, a nice looking controller is never unwanted, right? Like, cool,
right?
Like that's a nice looking controller. If I was in the market for one, I would just go ahead and pre-order that as soon as possible. But if it's one of your highlights, that's really bad. That kind of shows where the show was really at. Now, were there any outside of Forza Horizon 5, which anytime they show that, it's going to be a highlight because it looks amazing, right?
I love the confidence they have in that game. That's how they show, like they exude confidence in that game, and it shows when they play and when they show it off.
Yeah, I keep saying this. It shocks me how when I first saw Forza Horizon 4, I was like, well, racers aren't going to look any better than that. That was just in my mind. Like, I'm like, this game looks amazing. And then you can nitpick some things like, oh, if you pause the game and go into photo mode, and then if you see someone, kind of like, walk, if you go towards the festival area, you see people like look like cardboard cutouts, that kind of stuff. I'm like, when you're driving at 100 miles per hour, you're not supposed to notice crap like that. But I think probably the biggest level up when it comes to Forza Horizon 5 and where Playground Games is with Forza Tech Engine is the environment. Like the cars still look great. The cars always look great. The environment is just like looks so much better. The areas around it just looks amazing. The lighting effects, all that stuff is just it's somehow they made it look even better. And I can't wait to get into that. That's November. They gave a release date too. That's November 5th.
5th, yeah.
Okay, yeah, November. No, what
You
else
talking
is
about
coming?
for Forza?
Yes.
No, for November 9th.
Are you sure? The 9th?
I think it's the 9th.
What's on the 5th?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Call of Duty's on the 5th.
Oh, that's what I'm getting mixed up with. Okay, yeah. So, which is it actually just popped it up there. Yeah, Xbox Game Pass, November 9th. Now, I think that's good because what else? There's something else that like you got Call of Duty and some other games that are probably coming out around that same time. But Eraser doesn't really compete for an audience with those other games. So it's not like one for one. So it shouldn't be a problem for Forza to.
Forza, I think is one of those games.
Oh, thanks, Rand. Rand said it's the 9th, but November 5th for early launch. Maybe that's what I saw.
Early launch, yeah.
Okay.
If you get the Ultimate Edition of Horizon.
Now, if you have Game Pass Ultimate, do you have access? Okay.
I buy that, bro.
Okay, all right. So you just get the standard version. Cool.
You get the standard version, but if you buy the Ultimate Edition, which you can get the 10% discount, I think it's like $80 because it's normally $100. Or no, it's $90 because it's normally $100. You get access to that version, and yeah, that one does come out. Comes out 3 days early. Or 4 days early. 4 days early.
So outside of those two games, the controller and the actual game that the controller is for, was there anything else at the Xbox Gamescom event that you thought was noteworthy or something that worth talking about?
No.
Yeah, okay. Kind of feel the same. They had
nothing else was there that I mean there were some pretty good indies, but like I said, I was giving that show a D, and it was mostly because the indies weren't bad. They were actually serviceable, but it was nothing that kind of stood out to me that I wanted to play. Mm-hmm. So I was going to give it a D, but then Forza showed that controller, and then they showed Forza off, and I was like, okay, I have to give this a C, because I can't disrespect Forza by giving this show a D with Forza inside of it. Yeah. But I just don't. Thing is, I just don't get it. It's the same and I know I'm gonna let you talk about this, but it's the same Microsoft that did an E3 showing. Same Microsoft, but like you said, you had a very interesting take on why you think it was different.
Yeah,
I think they chime into that.
I think they rotate producers who produce these shows. So I think in order to make sure, because like a lot of planning goes into this stuff. Like they probably started. I think I actually either heard Phil or it may have been Aaron Greenberg. One of them talked about how they start planning, when they start planning these shows, like they're planning in the early stages, and so you need to like months and months in advance in order to really get a quality show with a lot of content. And so if you're doing that, but then you also have 2 months later Gamescom, like the same person that's probably planning E3 probably is too busy to be planning for Gamescom. So I kind of feel like with the way the formats are so different, that they have multiple people doing these shows, where if let's say if we're on that team, Forte, if I'm doing E3, you're doing Gamescom, and then there's probably somebody else doing something that if they're deciding to do like XO later this year, then there might be someone else assigned to that, because that's the only explanation I could think of for how different the formats are. I thought the Xbox Bethesda showcase for E3 was perfect in its pacing.
Yes.
And how they delivered the content. It was game after game after game after game. If you wanted the interviews, then hey, look, we got a stream for you 3 days later. check into our extended showcase where we'll have all those interviews if you are so inclined to really want to watch something like that. I think the vast majority of people just want to see games, just want to see reveals, just want to see what's new with services or whatever. They don't want to sit there and watch a developer talk about a game, especially if you're not actually showing the game that they're talking about at the same time. It's just not, it's not exciting. It's boring for a lot of people. And I think they lose people, or people get upset when that's the case. And what we saw with this this Gamescom Xbox event very much reminded me of the format of Inside Xbox. So I feel like whoever was producing Inside Xbox produced the show, because it's the same format. Show a game in the trailer, show a game, then sit down and talk with a developer about said game. And that's it. Now, if they were all kind of like how we're watching the gameplay for Forza Horizon 5, where, you know, the screen, a little box will pop up every now and then, and as a developer's talking and you see them, like, that's fine, because primarily we're watching what the developer is talking about, and therefore it keeps me engaged. When I'm just sitting there listening to a developer talk, it's different. And that's like no shade towards Paris or I keep forgetting the young lady's name.
No, I'm going to tell you right now, that was the other thing I was super impressed with. I will say that Paris Lily and Kate Yeager.
They did a good job.
They did a really, really good job, and I've always liked Kate Yeager. She does the GameStop events when they come to our conference and stuff. So I met her like 3 or 4 times. She's really, really cool, really, really down to earth, really really interesting person to talk to, and her energy level is just fantastic and stuff. And I think she did a really, really good job of narrating that, and Paris does a really, really good job in a couple of the last few events that he did. So I think the only thing me and you rolled our eyes at was the danger zone part.
Oh yeah, it was so planned, and just planned. Paris, don't do that no more, man. Like that's no more, Paris. Yeah, that was bad. That was cringe.
But outside of that, they did an amazing job, and I honestly think they are part of the reason I elevated the score. I really wasn't thinking about it until you just said that. That might be another reason, because when they were just talking to the developers, they kept the conversation going. It wasn't like a stagnant, conversation. That it was actually a really good back and forth that I really appreciated. But they did as good as they could do with the content that was given to them, and that's not on them. That's kind of on the people that wrote the show and put the product out there.
Now, what did you feel about?
Rand just said, okay, so I made a mistake. I didn't know. So I didn't pay attention to this. Rand just said, if you are on Game Pass, you can pay $50 to play it early and get all the expansions and stuff. You don't own the full title. Oh, so you can get all the DLC, everything. You just don't own the game. Do you actually own those expansions then? You just got, if you buy do you still own the expansion since you're paying that $50? You just don't own the game. Okay, I see what he's talking about, because that's how much the Ultimate Edition upgrade costs if you buy it separately. So that makes sense. Okay, so you don't have to pay the $100. I forgot that they actually offer it like that, where you can buy that Ultimate upgrade separately from the game. So he's absolutely right about that. If you buy that, then you get all those DLCs. So like when they do their special events and stuff, like how they did what Tundra Island and stuff like that, and then I forget the one that they did in 3, which was in the Himalayas and stuff like that, or even the Lego ones, which are really good. I'm really interested to see what they do around Legos in Mexico. I think that's going to be really, really interesting too.
Okay.
What were you about to ask? I just sidetracked you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, now I've lost the thought. It's fine. We can move on. Well, I'll say my grade for the show. I gave it a D. And it was mostly because I think a lot of people, myself included, were disappointed in nothing for on that show from Halo. And I think that could very well be explained by they pre-recorded it before Activision revealed the next Call of Duty and a release date. Therefore, they didn't have enough time to add that information in, especially since they had already recorded it at that point. So that's a potential explanation, but it just seemed weird to me to have your own show and not have your number one game even mentioned at that show.
Oh,
And then
I
the
agree.
very next day on, opening night live for Gamescom with Jeff Keighley, you got, a trailer and information and the release date and all that other stuff. So it was just weird. But since we brought up opening night live, what were your thoughts about that show?
It was slightly better than the
Oh
Xbox
yeah,
show.
hold on. Let's roll back a second, because I think both Aramis and Rand both talked about mentioning this in the chat. What did you think about XCloud on consoles?
I already knew that was coming. It was only a matter of time until they did that. They're basically going to turn every last one of your systems into a cloud server, so you're able to. This is going to be their way of discontinuing games running on old hardware. They're going to, even if you can't play, like say, Starfield when it comes out, they pretty much didn't put up any notice saying that that's going to be a cross-gen game. They basically just put up next-gen consoles on that. But you will be able to play that on an old Xbox or Xbox One X or Xbox One S, because they're going to make it so you can cloud stream it right on those systems if you want to. And most people that play games like this have internet tied directly into their system. So as long as you're in your on your local network, you shouldn't have any issues of doing this. I keep hearing, I don't know, Rand can confirm it, but I hear that they're updating a lot of the server blades to Xbox Series X, so you're going to get better fidelity and better stream quality and stuff with those. So I think it's going to be, I think that's going to kind of be a game changer for them, because people can just hold on to the hardware that they have. And if they don't mind streaming the games that natively won't play on the system that they have, that's a win-win for them. But I also think it's going to entice people to want to go out and get those next gen systems if game streaming isn't something that they want to be a part of. So I think they win in both scenarios. It just really comes down to how the implementation is going to be when it first launched, and how it's going to work in people's networks at home, which I don't think is going to be a problem. But I think it's a really, really good thing that they finally are taking this out of beta and bringing it over to the console.
I think okay, so it's going to help people who say, look,
Brand said they rolled out the blades last month, so
yeah, that's true. Yeah, the blades are already out there. I think it does help those who say are on a Xbox One S, or an Xbox One VCR like from 2013, be able to play games that are no longer supported for that. Although I don't think it's going to be too many people that are going to use that.
No, it's not going to be too many.
Yeah, because frankly, if you are even a casual gamer, will look at that and be like, oh, okay, that's a cool game, I want to play that. And then if they completely checked out of anything in regards to gaming news, don't even know there's new Xboxes out, then sure, maybe that kind of person will go ahead and just, I had no idea that this game was only available through streaming or something. Like, I got good internet and I was just playing the game, but didn't know that it wasn't natively supported for this old old console. But I think most people would at some point hear about a new console and be like, I need to upgrade this. Looking at some of these games and be like, yeah, I need to, and seeing in the marketing, they're always showing a Series X and a Series S, and they're not showing your old Xbox. Like, I think some people would start to just be like, it's time to do an upgrade. I think probably the bigger benefit to the Xcloud on consoles is because it's also on the Series consoles too, is that you'll be able to say play a game instantly instead of waiting for it to download. And maybe you could just, in case you're not quite certain this is the kind of game I want to play, you start the download then you play it, through Xcloud first to see what it's like, and then you make that decision on whether you're going to cancel the download based upon what you played or let it keep going. So I think that will probably be the bigger benefit. You'll probably see more people making use of that feature than people on like 8-year-old consoles trying to play like Hellblade 2, which is exclusive to this current gen, or
Right.
or I don't think Redfall is, but like Fable, stuff like that. Avowed, like I think you're probably going to more likely see people actually just utilizing the earlier ability to play it without having to download it or waiting for it to download. But all right, off of that, uh, Gamescom, on opening night live. What were your thoughts about that?
It was slightly better than the Xbox One, mostly because they showed off a controller and they showed off a system.
Okay, what was the controller that they showed off?
The Elite controller, the Halo controller.
Yeah, I actually will pull that up now. I actually had, so I don't know what happened to my clip of the actual Halo console, because I had that too, but I can't find it. I've been looking for the
Man, that controller, it made look the system does it. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. The system looks good, but it's not something I have to have.
It looks okay. I've seen better.
Okay.
I've seen
I've seen Xbox do better with the controller. I mean, with the system itself. So it's not a bad looking system. I actually like the way the system looks. It's minimalist. It has the access of Halo on it. I like the way it looks, but I already have an X. Unless I can get it for super cheap, maybe if I, depending on what trade-in promotions are going on around that time, maybe I'll trade in my other Xbox One X that my daughter has, and give her my Xbox Series X, and then I upgrade that for, like, if I can do it for like less than $200, then I might do it. But the controller, the controller's fire. And the reason I'm more excited about the controller, because I kind of want to get two of them. I have two Series X's right now. I have two Series 2 controllers right now. I'm thinking about trading them both in and getting two of them, because I want one to play with and one to keep in the box. Because anybody that knows the Gears of War edition of that controller that they came out with and they never released any more of, that controller goes for $400 and $500 used.
Wow.
Online. So not to say I want to sell it, I just want to have it so I can say this thing is sealed in a box, and it's like more of a keepsake at that point, because I have pretty much everything Halo, like all the collector's editions, pretty much every version of Halo, all the books. I have the little action figures that they released and everything. I got the Warthog and everything. I got the Pelican. I even had the Scarab, the walking fall. I'm about to call him Fallen. The walking Covenant tank. I even have that. So I kind of want this. I want this controller just to put in the middle of all of it. It's like, yo, this controller's fire, and never open it. Yeah. But the controller by itself was like, when I saw it, it's like, yo, they stunting, and Xbox know how to sell a controller.
They sure do.
But unfortunately, once again, we're talking about hardware
and not
in a controller,
software.
And not actual software.
Yeah, for me, I almost pulled the trigger on that controller. I literally had it in my cart in the Microsoft store, and I was about to buy it, but then like something clicked with me, and I was like, wait a minute. I've seen so many people complain about the wear and tear of the Elites, and the Elites not really holding up the way your typical regular Xbox controller does. And I'm thinking, am I really going to spend $200 on? And I'm getting through the Microsoft store, so I'm not getting that kind of like special, epic extended warranty that you get from Best Buy. I'm like, do I really want to do this? And I said, yeah, you know what? Let me not, because I've been thinking about getting an Elite controller for a while. And I mentioned earlier in the show, I just bought my first Elite controller. I got it the same day. Right. This came out, because I'll say, you know what, let me just go ahead and make the decision to finally get an Elite controller. So I did it, But I went to Best Buy and just got the regular Series 2 Elite controller because with the additional cost of this one, I was able to get the Best Buy warranty for the next 2 years. And if, just by normal wear and tear.
Warranty for 2 years, $30 or $40?
I think it was 50 actually.
Yeah, that's how much 50 for how much ours is too.
Yeah, but like if 2 years from now, like almost 2 years from now, I can just go to Best Buy and be like, hey, normal wear and tear, it don't work the way it used to. It's covered in the warranty. I can get a brand new one. No, no questions asked.
You can also do it with that Halo controller if you want.
But if it's here's the deal. Okay, all right. So this is great. I can't remember who. I think it was B Money. Shout out to B Money. B Money said he had I think he had the special Gears controller, the Gears Elite controller, and he tried to do that, and they didn't have any available because they're like
they just give you a credit,
right? Well, yeah. So they wanted to give him a regular Elite, and he was like, no. You
give me my money back?
Right. So they end up just giving him his money back, and so it's like, why go through all of that if that's the case? Like, this is something like I would get as just a collector's item. Like, I got my Design Labs special design slow-mo backslap controller that I made. I haven't used that in a single game at all. It's sitting on the controller rack. It's just something cool to have. That's what I got. I'm never going to use it.
To put it on?
Yeah, well, I got like a 2 controller, 1 headset stand I have that's just sitting like right by my my PC, and I got it sitting on there. I'm not playing the game with that because it's there for show, and that's fine. Like, if I ever got one of those, it's just gonna be there for show. That's all. The show, I agree with you about Opening Night Live being just slightly better than the Xbox show. I thought there was a lot of fluff. There was also the musical stuff. I don't know why Jeff Keighley is so hooked on always having music, and I'm like
to sit in his bathroom and listen to music. That's all.
I mean, I'm just like, man, come on, let's move this along. But
right.
This is another show I thought that was way too long. 2 hours was kind of ridiculous. There were some games I saw that kind of interested me. I'm not into Saints Row. I know there's some people, big Saints Row fans that were hyped to see that, and then I saw some disappointment with how it turned out. Some people kind of like not liking the approach that I guess they're taking with it. I'm not a Saints Row fan, so I don't really know. But the one game that did get me excited was the game that Firaxis Games is making for
the Marvel game,
right? So for if you're not aware of who Firaxis is, they are the developers of XCOM, and so they have really popularized that genre. They're the masters of it, and they are now making a Marvel game where they got a brand new original character. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I kind of hate when they create a brand new character for a game. At that point, I'm kind of like, I just really just want to see like the heroes and villains that I love. But it looks, from what the trailer showed with all the characters that's going to be in it, I'm really excited to play an XCOM game with these kind of characters that are so different from the comics, because I can really see the potential of getting into combat and being able to really do very different, unique things with different characters that have different skill sets and powers. And more than likely, because it's Marvel, and it's going to be a focus on story, and just like I'm a fan of Marvel comics, so seeing these characters, especially seeing Wolverine finally, because it's been a while since you really get to see Wolverine in games again. But
right.
I'm excited for this one. This one's supposed to come out February. There's a lot of games coming out in February. I think this one's coming out in February. But
Horizon's coming out in February.
Yeah, Horizon, 15th, right? Sifu. I can't remember the date. But I don't think all those games are going to stay in February. I think February is a good place to put a game when you're not quite certain whether you're going to have to delay it further from there. It's in the middle of the quarter, and yeah, I just think it's just a good place to if you could actually get the game out, then that's a good place to sell your game. And that's really, I think, the long and short of it. I think a couple of those games will get delayed out, which has happened in the past. If you recall, I think it was a year or two ago, everybody was like, man, February next year is real stacked. There were so many games slated for February, and then like more than half of them got delayed out. So it is what it is, especially now where we're still dealing with the pandemic and stuff. But I thought the Xbox console, I kind of anticipated they would do something like that, and I'm actually kind of shocked. Well, it's a little shocking due to the shortage, the chip shortages and stuff.
Right.
But they could have easily just taken what was already allocated for regular Xbox Series X's and just just put them into these special edition ones. Like I don't think they wouldn't order like even more wafers from TMSC in order to get this done. I think they just
they held back some stock to know that they were going to do it.
Right. Which means they should be
say it's limited. They said it's very limited quality on
which means that if you get one, it's probably going to have a great resale value in like 3 or 4 years, because it's going to be less of those out than any other special edition custom consoles that you would have saw in the past. So, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think I even gave a grade for the opening night live. It was just meh.
I would Lady Foxfire 7 out of 10, which would probably give it a C plus or C, like a regular solid C probably.
Yeah, I can see a C. A C's good. I'm trying to think of anything else that I saw that I thought was worth. No, I think that was it. I mean, no. Okay, Splitgate was there. I love Splitgate. They had a release trailer to announce Season 0, but that's like an ongoing game that's already out. I think there were a couple other stuff like that out there. But otherwise, like it was just a boring show. It was just the average show, nothing too serious. But let's go ahead and get up out of here. We're running a little bit over, but definitely shout out to everybody that's been coming through. Shout out all 40 of you guys that are currently in the chat right now. Forte.
Yo.
What do you have planned for the next week? What are you playing for the next week, and where can people find you?
Well, first of all, great show, Slow-Mo. Love the energy you bring today. You always bring the energy, but I definitely know how it is. I know you back to work and stuff too, so you putting this show together on the fly a little bit more now than you used to. So I truly appreciate you. But it's Gaming Forte everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation. DPS on my channel next week. Going to be another great show with the homeboy Slow-Mo Backslap. Outside of that, I guess we're probably going. Are you thinking about still doing the stream today, or you want to do it? You want to do it tomorrow?
You know what, man? I had a monster.
Tomorrow.
I can get you a few hours. I
guess we gonna be all right. Well, I guess we gonna play some Aliens Fire Team in a minute. so come over through the channel, because I'm gonna just literally start it up in probably like 15 minutes, and we're gonna go through some Alien Fire Team together and stuff. Haven't got a chance to play it yet, but we're gonna see what it's like together. But outside of that, no, just working on some other videos. I don't know if anybody noticed, I did a video. I have a brand new laptop. I did a video on comparing my high-end laptop to an Xbox Series X. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are probably going to think that I'm going to tell you that the laptop blew it away. And honestly, the X stands up very, very well to a high-end PC. You get what you pay for as usual. But I was very impressed with how fidelity on a laptop that literally costs $3,000 compared to a system that costs not even a quarter of that amount of money.
What kind of GPU was in the laptop?
10 series, 10 i7 10
No, that's CPU.
87K.
That's a CPU. Oh well, I mean,
Oh, is that GPU? Oh,
GPU,
2080 Super. 2080 Super.
Okay, 2080 Super, which is like that's comparable to a GPU that's in a Series X, I think. Oh,
Yeah.
close to it. Give and take a little bit. You know that
Like,
makes sense.
It's not the full desktop version. It's the Max
Right,
Q design.
right. Yeah, but which makes sense. I mean, you have a much smaller form factor. Cooling is a huge.
It's a huge thing that they need to worry about.
Yeah, you're not going to run it at the same clocks as you would a discrete GPU in a desktop format. And
yeah, this one runs at 13.
It would overheat and shut off on you to save its components. So like,
this one sits at 1330 megahertz on idle, and then it boosts to 1590. And if anybody knows anything about GPUs, the regular 2080 it sits at like 1790 and boosts above 2000.
I just want to note that I'm looking at my gameplay for Back 4 Blood, and this looks really bad because at least it was a bot. If it was because I'm playing this with All Day and Luca, and if it was one of them that was down, I definitely would have went back and saved it. But it was the bot that came in to replace somebody that had to drop out that was with us, and I was like, nah, fam, I ain't saving you. He just kept running.
So it was over, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, like, honestly, you can't do that too much in Back 4 Blood because it's like Left 4 Dead where you need your teammates to survive. If you're solo, you're not going to make it. But my bad. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No. That's it. That's all I pretty much have. And if you want, come through in like 15 minutes, and we're gonna do probably like an hour and a half of Aliens Fire Team and stream that for the guys. Anybody that's interested.
Yep. I want to hit the shout out to After His Passion for the $10 super chat, man. Thank you once again. After His Passion is always supporting the channel, man, and the podcast. Really appreciate that, bro. For myself, like Forte said, we're definitely going to do this Alien Fire Team Elite. So I might just go live on Twitch as well, so you can see my side of things if you guys want, or just watch it on Forte's YouTube channel. We'll see. It's whatever. But outside of that, I'm still working on my videos. I'm very close to finishing one of them. Should have it out next week. And I'm going to continue to just stream, on Twitch, the games that I love to play. And I've been getting a lot of support for people out there, so I really appreciate everybody that comes through and watches the streams and just having fun in the chat with me as let's say I miss a platforming thing or something like I was doing in Psychonauts 2 for like a good 30 seconds. I just kept missing this one jump. It was ridiculous, but it was hilarious though. I probably will finish Psychonauts 2 on stream. Maybe we'll see. But I'll definitely be playing some other games, getting back to Death's Door and of course Hades and Splitgate and Rogue Company. I haven't streamed Rogue Company, I don't think ever. So I think I might do that soon. Maybe get Elder Cat and Vic and Elder Cat's brother with me, and we can run through Rogue Company with a full stack. We'll see what happens, but again, definitely appreciate you guys for coming through. Thank you everyone who came in and just rocked out with us tonight as we did the show. We're getting up out of here. Y'all have a great night and enjoy your games. Peace
guys.
All right, we're done.